we're spotlighting loneliness because we know there is an epidemic of loneliness. Let's ask a few questions now again to help us better understand what loneliness really is. Now, to these, you can answer, I never feel this, I rarely feel this, I sometimes feel this, or I often feel this. So, never, rarely, sometimes, or often. Here's the first one, only a few. I feel as if nobody really understands me. Never, rarely, sometimes, often. I'm no longer close to anyone. Never, rarely, sometimes, often. My interests or ideas are not shared by the people around me. I'm unable to reach out or to communicate with others. No one really knows me well. And people around me are there, but they're not with me. Okay. Now, did any of those show up as sometimes or often for you? Hopefully not too many. And if you want to take the full UCLA loneliness scale, there'll be a link to that. But that should give you a sense of how it feels, right? This epidemic appears to be crossing demographics like gender and age and even culture. And to point out one first very big misconception, it's looking like younger people are reporting more feelings of loneliness than the elderly. Now, we might think that's strange because we would think, well, they're probably out and about more. But actually, that raises an interesting point about the experience of loneliness. It's not necessarily about how much social contact we have, although that helps. Loneliness is actually about social connection, so the quality of your contact. So here are some numbers from the Roots of Loneliness Project. 57% of Americans report eating all of their meals alone. Now that paints a very worrying picture about daily life, I think. Here's the number I really want you to pay attention to. 47% of Americans are saying that their relationships don't feel meaningful. Okay, so maybe I'm around plenty of people, but I still don't feel like I matter to them or that they get me. And I'm sure sociologists have plenty to say about this, but as a therapist, to hear that almost half of people aren't really connecting is pretty terrifying. Because if you name just about any mental health condition, right, social connection is either a big part of what makes it better, and the lack of it really makes things worse, if not potentially causing mental health issues. Now, as a quick digression, and kind of beyond our scope here, but an important point, we could ask ourselves, is this an epidemic of loneliness, or is it a crisis of meaning, right? When you experience meaning, your efforts feel worth something. Your suffering feels worth something. Things might be hard, but you can kind of take it because it's in the service of something bigger. You feel connected to others and connected to something bigger than yourself. And it's sounding like a lot of people aren't feeling either of those. All right, back on topic though. It's not just contact we need, it's meaningful contact. And there's one more fly in the ointment here, though, and this is really important. We know that there's a feedback loop between loneliness and how we perceive other people. So someone who experiences frequent loneliness is more likely to perceive people as rejecting. And if you regularly perceive people as rejecting or not caring, you pull away even further. You become wary of others. There's a lot of us wary of one another, okay? And we end up cutting ourselves off from the very thing we want and need. It's pretty hard to have meaningful contact when you feel like that contact might hurt you. We've all understood that feeling before. Craving connection, craving someone to understand, but feeling like every time we try to reach out, something goes wrong. Happens in families all the time. We're going to be talking a lot more about this.